So hello vinyl community, Bill here again from Scotland, from Aberdeen. And today I'm going to take part in the Jazz Vinyl Tag 2021 set up by Chris and his tunes from the ManCave channel. If you haven't watched any of those videos, check out his channel. I'll put a link to the original jazz vinyl tag video in the description below. But here's my response to those 21 questions. Do we not just usually have 20 these vinyl tags? Never mind. The first one was to show a jazz album or albums that got you into jazz, but I'm going to take a slightly different tilt on this, in that it was a TV talk show on the BBC that really got me into jazz. A guy called Michael Parkinson from Yorkshire in England, and he used to do a chat show in the 70s, 80s, beyond. I think he then went on to host Desert Island Discs on Radio 2. But he used to have interviews with the Hollywood greats, and if any jazz artists were touring the UK, he would often find opportunity to invite them along to the show. So I remember seeing Oscar Peterson a couple of times. I think I might have seen Count Basie, I'm not sure. But I also remember Buddy Rich, the great jazz drummer, being on Parkinson and slagging off the young people, this upstart group called Led Zeppelin. And I don't think he was very impressed with the drumming on the Led Zeppelin albums. Well, kind of beg to differ there, but yeah, there's no getting away from what a great jazz drummer that Buddy Rich was. And I believe there's a really good book, an autobiography about Buddy Rich, which I must read someday. So enough of that. First album bought. Now this will be a surprise because it's on cassette, and it's A Love Supreme by John Coltrane. And I think this was a kind of blind buy in a department store that, yeah, Watton Grant had a record department. Or maybe it was just cassettes anyway, but at that stage, it was important to be able to play your music in the car as well. So I bought A Love Supreme, which is a fantastic album. I've also got it as a digital download, but yeah, Coltrane, avant-garde, spiritual jazz, and maybe not the easiest of recordings to get into jazz with, but yeah, really loved that album. I'm going to be showing mainly CDs, but there are some vinyl gems as well. I hope you'll think they're gems anyway. But next up, Blue Note. I've got quite a lot of Blue Note, but this is Horace Silver's quintet and Song for My Father. And yeah, it's got the title track and the kicker, Lonely Woman, Silver Threads Among My Soul. Really great jazz album. Then Prestige. I wasn't sure that I had any Prestige, but I did a bit of research, and yes, this fantastic Sonny Rollins saxophone Colossus is on Prestige. And this is one of my very favorite jazz albums. I think I've spoken about it before in some of my other YouTube videos. I think this is a really great drumming album as well. So Max Roach on drums, Sonny Rollins on tenor sax, Tommy Flanagan on piano, and Doug Watkins on bass. Recorded in the year of my birth, 1956, and recorded in New York City. So that's Prestige. Then Impulse. And first vinyl to show, and this is the Lost album, or Coltrane's Both Directions at Once. Really nice packaging with die cuts, sleeves, and track listing on the back. Just got this at the start of this year, and fantastic album. Then again, Riverside. I didn't think I had any Riverside, but would you know it, I do. Internet's great for checking out. So I think it says Riverside up here, and it's Bill Evans, the great jazz pianist. And this is Waltz for Debbie and the Bill Evans Trio. So this has got My Foolish Heart, My Response, no, not My Response, My Romance, and 2 takes of that. And there's some additional tracks on this CD, including Porgy, I Love You from Porgy and Bess. That's great. Then Contemporary. So this is where I failed, but I thought when I did the blues vinyl tag 2021, whenever I got stuck, I showed some drawings I did of blues artists. So I've got stuck here. So I'm going to show you a painting of that I did. It's after a style of a lady that I should have checked her name, but I combined 2 of her images and changed the format. And obviously I'm not as good a painter as she was, but this is John Coltrane and Sidney Bechet. Different eras of jazz, but yeah, hope you like seeing my painting. Then small jazz label or subsidiary. And again, this was one that I was finding a little bit of difficulty, but Blue Note, or a subsidiary of Blue Note, came to the rescue. And we have Wes Montgomery's Finger Picking. So guitar jazz, West Coast feel, Pacific jazz. Pacific Jazz is the name of the label, which is a subsidiary of Blue Note. But yeah, you've got Buds Mozart, Sound Carrier, and Finger Picking, written by Wes Montgomery. And Baubles, Bangles, and Beads are a really great jazz classic or standard that a lot of the female vocalists do a great version of. But Wes Montgomery, small jazz label. Now, not many of us know about this, or I think not many people know about this, but I'll pop up an image of the album cover. I've got this as a digital download, but it's US3, and they use Blue Note and sample and rap over the top of it. And it's great. They do a great version of Cantaloupe. And then they've, I think after the first album, they were allowed free range to sample any parts of the Blue Note catalog. So US3, Hand on the Torch, is the album that I think not many people know about. Haven't seen it on the vinyl community videos. So that's the one that I would recommend you check out. So yeah, jazz in the background and rapping on top. Fantastic. Right. Bought, excuse me, bought in 2020. And I had the audacity to do a couple of, well, I think it was just the one video about starting a jazz collection. And my uncle was a great jazz collector, and my Uncle George, he got a lot of his first jazz recordings on 78s. So, but I did this thing, starting a jazz collection. What a brass neck I have. And I asked my uncle to have a look at it. And during the video, I mentioned a book by John Fordham that has an introduction by Sonny Rollins. I think it's just called Jazz. And I said that was my jazz Bible. And my uncle said this book by Rex Harris, just called Jazz, and it's this is a revised edition, but I got this on a well-known online store, but it's reselling through there. And it was Penguin or Pelican Books. And this edition is from 1956. But yeah, a lot of the jazz that my uncle grew up with was obviously what's now called early jazz. So having had a look through that book, I purchased this 2 CD set called Jazz Early Days. If you just want a flavor of the roots of jazz that you're listening to, this is the one to go for. 2 CDs, great buy, Jazz Early Days. Right, favorite from an artist's catalog. Got quite a lot of Miles Davis, but I'm saving that one till later. And I wanted an opportunity to feature both Louis Armstrong and Ella Fitzgerald. So on now what is it, Verve, we have Ella and Louis, and this has got some great tracks on it. Can't We Be Friends, Moonlight in Vermont, Tenderly, A Foggy Day in London Town, and the British Museum had lost its charm. Lovely narrative to that song, A Foggy Day. So, and then we move on to question 12. And it's a purchase from a bricks and mortar shop. I've got favorite shops in Aberdeen, Chameleon, Red Robin, and Made in Vinyl, as well as Spin. But we also have this the chain store HMV, and other record stores are available, as you know, but support your own local one. And this was Organ Grinder Swing, the incredible Jimmy Smith. And first heard on Organ Grinder Swing on a car advert on TV, and it took me about 5 years to track down what the actual song was. But yeah, this is great. It's got green sleeves on it, the English folk song, given a jazz version on the Hammond organ that Jimmy Smith plays. Really great. And Kenny Burrell's on here and Grady Tate on drums. So yeah, the incredible Jimmy Smith and Organ Grinder Swing. Then online purchase, and this one was recommended in a book called Mojo 1000. So it was about CDs. I know some of you will take that with a pinch of salt, but they recommended 1,000 CDs. And in the jazz section, there was a great recommendation about this 4 CD set, bebop spoken here. So we've got all the usual suspects. We've got Charlie Parker, Dizzy Gillespie, Sonny Stitt, All Stars, and who else? Gene Group and his orchestra, Disc Jockey Jump, and Dexter Gordon, and there's Miles Davis on here as well. So I think it's just under 100 tracks over 4 CDs. Really great purchase, that one. Then I turn the page to question 14. And this is where I can go back to vinyl, you'll be glad to see. And this was gifted by a friend or found for you. And I guess this is serendipity. I was in Spin Records in Aberdeen, a great second-hand record store, blues, jazz, classic rock, etc. And they were playing on their system, which has a valve amplifier. They were playing this record, Ahmad Jamal at the Black Hawk. Now, my system doesn't have valve amps, but this sounds really great on my system. Sounds even better with a valve amp. But Ahmad Jamal at the Black Hawk. And which year was it recorded? I think it's 61, but yeah, really great album and highly recommended. Again, we've got piano interpretations, jazz piano interpretations of April in Paris and Falling in Love with You, I'll Take Romance and My Funny Valentine, and Night Mist Blues. Really, really strong album, this. Ahmad Jamal from the Black Hawk. And then next up, a box set. And I'll be showing another box set later, but this is fantastic. This is almost my introduction to the blues, or to the width and breadth, depth of jazz. And this is a great collection of 25 jazz albums. The only problem with this is keeping them in the order. So we've got Miles Davis here. We've got Chet Baker. We've got Dave Brubeck. We've got, this is a really nice one. Where is it? W.C. Handy, but it's Louis Armstrong plays W.C. Handy. And there's some outtakes where you hear them positioning the members of the bands in the studio and trying to get the vocals just right. Really great. And in here, we've also got Herbie Hancock's Headhunters, Stan Getz, The Best of Two Worlds, Weather Report, George Benson Quartet, and Paul Desmond with Jerry Mulligan and Charlie Mingus's Tijuana Moods, amongst others. Really great box set. 10-inch. I almost went to here, but yeah, I do have something. Is it strictly jazz? This is a guy called Little Willie Littlefield, and it's on Ace Records. So it's maybe more, well, it's boogie woogie piano. Now, is that jazz or blues jazz fusion, or is it a completely different animal altogether? Whatever it is fantastic. Can't recommend this one highly enough. This video is full of highly recommended recommendations. Jazz score. Again, I think I was maybe toiling a wee bit on this one. In this jazz perfect 25 album collection for just over 50 quid, so £2 a disc. there is the soundtrack to the Charlie Parker movie by Clint Eastwood called Bird. But the score I'm going with is, again, a fusion of it, jazz and classical, and West Side Story, Leonard Bernstein's masterpiece with lyrics by Stephen Sondheim. So our next question involves showing no records at all. What we would like to or hope to find in 2021. It's been on my want list on Discogs for a while now, but Grant Green, the great jazz guitarist, and I'd like to pick up a vinyl copy of Born to Be Blue. So that's hope to find in 2021, and hope to upgrade in 2021. Again, this is quite an early jazz acquisition for me, but it's Dizzy Gillespie, To Bird with Love. And I hope I would be able to find this on vinyl. Then second last, penultimate is free jazz. I don't have much free jazz. In fact, I think I've only got the one, but I think I tried to listen to Ornette Coleman, Shape of Things to Come, or Shape of Jazz to Come. Wasn't quite for me, and maybe a bridge too far, but this is one that's worth sticking to, and this will persuade you how good free jazz really is. And this is Eric Dolphy's Out to Lunch. Again, this needs more than one listen to really get into, to really appreciate this subgenre of jazz. But Eric Dolphy's Out to Lunch, great album. And then a final question, save the best till last. My desert island jazz record has to be Miles Davis and Kind of Blue. This is the 50th anniversary edition, and you've got vinyl and 2 CDs plus a DVD, and also some great, well, there's a booklet, book rather than a booklet. Great photos and yeah. And a poster. Also in here, you've got some great black and white photos. Get them the right way up. And the facsimile, I think, of notes by Bill Evans. So you've got Bill Evans' signature at the bottom. So if I could only listen to one jazz album on my desert island, I would not tire of Kind of Blue. It's just got some fantastic tracks on it, and quite rightly deemed by not just me, but a lot of people that it's the jazz album for anybody who thinks they don't like jazz. So we'll wrap it up there. I hope you've enjoyed my rambling on about jazz, and I have to thank Chris at Tunes from the ManCave for starting up this thread or this tag. And I'd encourage anybody who even has the most humble of jazz collections to show their stuff and we're all on a great journey learning uh, to discover more about the wonderful genre of jazz.